Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of OnlyFans, a Dolphins post-game show where Joel and I give you our instant reactions to today's game. Now, make sure you guys are hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button. Most importantly, turn on the notifications. That way you guys get notified when we drop hits like this. Now, this is week 3 of OnlyFans. We're getting into it because we just faced the Seattle Seahawks and got a whooping, and we lost another quarterback to the Seahawks. Man, make sure you guys are hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button because this one's going to be a good one. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go.
Yo. Fans up in the building, rep the gear from toe to ceiling. 305 stays on the brim, by 95 we popping wheelies. On the way out to the rock, time to see the trio fly. OBJ, Tyreek, and Waddle, speed and swag solidifies. Tools Babby in the pocket, got my D coordinating. With the Weaver operating, on the sideline formulating. Strategizing for that dub, let's get A-Train on the track. Chubbs and Ramsey, Phillips healthy, boy, we bout to crack some backs. Time to change the narrative, F off with all due respect. Criticism at its finest, break the cycle down the stretch. Top dog offense in the league, let's keep it going postseason. Bring that heat in cold weather, that's a Dade County reason. OnlyFans, presented by Sports with SoSo. Presented by Sports with SoSo.
We are back, Joel, for another episode of OnlyFans. Another loss in the books, bringing us down to 1-2 as the Dolphins lose a hard game on the road in Seattle, 24-3. And I say it was a hard game because it looked rough on one particular side of the ball, where we had a lot of injuries, a lot of penalties, and a lot of big mistakes, man. How you doing after today's loss?
Devastated, bro. I mean, this is kind of what we expected, honestly. If we're being real, if we're being 100% honest, we didn't think Skylar Thompson was going to march into Seattle and, grind out a victory for us. But we have a lot bigger problems after today's loss. And, yeah, man, it's not looking good. The near future does not look bright for the Dolphins.
Absolutely not, man. And it didn't get off to a good start either, right? Because Seattle was able to put up a quick 17 points in the first quarter, and it felt like they really took control of that game from right there. And even in that first quarter, we had some opportunities to drive down the field. And I think the biggest thing that stood out to me that let me knew it was going to be a rough day was Jason Sanders missing another field goal. I think we're at the point with this guy where it's like, all right, we paid you, we've stuck with you through the good and the bad, and it's like now there's just inconsistency, right? Whether it was the right decision to go for it or not, right? I think the fact that he's missing these kicks and leaving points on the floor, it really sucks. It really sucks.
That wasn't really the moment for me, honestly, because I mean it was like a 50-something yard try, and we know he doesn't really have that leg, which sucks. That's another conversation for another time. So it wasn't really that moment that did it for me. What did it for me was when we got the turnover finally, and we got the interception, and it was first down and goal. So we're inside the 10-yard line, and we walk away with 0 points.
Instant penalty on that first and goal play.
I'm sorry, no, let me rephrase that. We walked away with 3 points, but it felt like we walked away with 0 points.
Especially after the momentum shift, right? Like it was a good deflected pass. Sealer made a great play on the interception, brought it down, and it's like, all right.
No, that wasn't the Sealer one. It was the Kohu one.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Kohu got the early interception. That was the goal play.
The one that got bumped up. And we were in, and we moved the ball. But once we got in the red zone, it was like everything failed. Everything failed. And I think the biggest thing to point out is the lackluster play of the O-line, right? We saw those guys get dominated today, and a lot of guys got hurt, including the big money guy, Teron Armstead. I just think that's what made the difference in today's game. We couldn't get a push, and a lot of that had to do with the offensive line getting bullied. And even still, like going for the field goal was probably the right call, and not having him make it, it just sucked the life out of the rest of the offense.
Yeah, and besides that, man, I mean, just Skylar Thompson, man, just did not look like he was going to be anything of a difference maker for the Dolphins, man. He had a couple of throws, some timing throws that we see, Tua, that we've seen him make, kind of fake one direction and then immediately have a guy in the middle of the field. And that was fine, but kept the ball in his hand way too long, had no awareness, like no pocket presence or awareness. And yeah, man, it was just a disaster out there, from being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. There was that one particular play that stands out to me, and like think in the end of the first or somewhere in the second quarter, where He's waiting, he's running around and he's looking downfield, and he gets freaking walloped from the back, because he doesn't have that awareness to be like, that clock is ticking. I need to get rid of this ball or run, right? There was just bad decisions made by Skylar Thompson and even by Coach McDaniel, right? There was that one particular series where he didn't call the timeout. We almost lost the ball because it was a fumble. Ended up punting the ball, and it's like, all right, wait a second. Why aren't we calling timeouts and making sure that the guy who's playing quarterback for us, who's not our normal guy, is able to be ready to get into these plays, right? And not have him try to wing it on any of the plays, right? Call the timeouts. That's what they're there for. McDaniel just looked stuck in the mud, stuck in the mud. Nothing new, nothing good, and it was evident by the first half being like so overwhelming in Seattle's favor. I don't know about you, but I felt like even after we scored the field goal, we felt good about the game a little bit. Like, all right, we're not too far off, and then boom, 71-yard touchdown by Mecca, blowing the top off of Holland, Ramsey, and everybody else.
Holland didn't have his best game. That one we saw that play just was just completely blown in coverage. He bit on the little move that he made to the inside, and then Metcalf just took advantage of that. But the defense kind of responded well after that.
Yeah,
I thought that they were doing a good job as far as against the pass, against the run. I mean, Charbonnet had a day. We couldn't really stop the run. So that was really disheartening. I mean, because of the fact that when we needed some stops there down the stretch, we just couldn't get them. And then even
yeah,
when we did get those stops, man, we weren't doing anything with it. We got good field position again, like you were like you had mentioned earlier with that Zach Sealer interception, where the ball got batted up in the air. He had the awareness and wherewithal to go up for it, grab it, come down with it, and we did nothing with that. We were at midfield, and we did absolutely nothing with that. I think the end result of that drive was Skyler Thompson getting sacked for a turnover on downs or something like that.
correct, correct.
So
And again, it was bad play calling on that fourth down, right? Because it's like, all right, we're in a 4th and 6. Put your best play out there, right? Give it to Achan. Put it in the best maker's hand at the moment, because even Hill didn't have a good day, right? Way below his standards. Had a drop pass on a screenplay that we could have made something out of. It was just like everything that could have gone wrong for the Dolphins, right? In that first quarter went wrong, and then it flooded into the second quarter. And if we look at when we look at the stats here, right? You look at Skyler's numbers, pretty mediocre, right? 13 of 19 for 107 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But right there, it's a very telling sign: 5 sacks for 37 yards. And the lack of the offensive push is again so evident, because we gave the ball to Achan, who did the most that he could, but he only ended up with 30 yards. In comparison to Zach Charbonnet for Seattle, who was able to punish our defensive line and muster 91 yards for him. I think that this game plan should have been focusing on the run, but we didn't. And you can see it in the amount of attempts that we've had for these guys, right? Between both of these guys, we threw the ball 32 times. Way too much, in my opinion. And we're not even giving Achan a chance here when he's only got 11 carries in the game. Now, if you look at the receiving stats, that's where you'll see the biggest drop off, in my opinion, because you lose everything that we worked on, right? Tyreek Hill, 3 catches, 40 yards. Devon Achan, 3 catches, 28 yards. Waddle, 4 catches, 26 yards. Julian Hill had a terrible game. 2 catches, 24 yards. John U. Smith, another guy who we're supposed to be using, 2 catches, 18 yards. Nothing in the form of consistency, nothing in the form of finding a big playmaker, finding guys into open space, and finding guys in a position where they can attack the defense. None of that was evident, and the stats show it, bro.
yeah, so the numbers don't lie, and again, like the whole not running the ball. I think that's again going back to game script because of the fact that we were behind so early that we needed to try to catch up. But we just couldn't get anything going, and I think it was the O line. Honestly, man, when it came down to it, the O line looked terrible. I don't know how many times they were penalized, or how
Yeah.
many times they had. We did pick something up, and then they got called back because of a holding or something. Hill, like you mentioned, horrible day. I mean, I don't know how many times that guy got called for either a false start or holding. It was just brutal to watch.
It was terrible, Joel. And I think like at one point in the game, right, definitely before the halftime, we had 7 penalties as a team. 4 of them were on special teams. 4 of them or we had to either re-kick or punt or get them or give them 15 yards, 5 yards, or whatever. So therefore, killing our possession, right? Not only that, killing our ability to leverage field play, right? Get make it easier for our offense, and also make it harder for for their offense, right? And it just didn't work out that way, man. 11 penalties, not, for 92 for 85 yards. That's terrible. We gave up 5 sacks. Weird that we didn't give up an interception, but I can see that because these guys were very careful with the ball, right? They were afraid to throw the ball downfield, and truth be told, they didn't have um too many opportunities. But this game, you look at the score and you can't really blame the defense because they only gave up one big play, right? The big play to Metcalf. Everything else was them being worked on or being this in a disadvantaged position and having to come off of that. So I can't really blame too much of this game on the defense, but it leaves me to wonder, right? Like, when are we gonna see this defense become elite? Right, because I don't think until today we didn't have an interception. We got two interceptions, one, and both of them were off deflections. But our ability to cover downfield is mediocre right now, right? Our tackling seems to have taken a hit because it looked very sloppy today as well. I don't know, man. It just seems like these things are things that we thought were going to be the standard with this defense, and it's not. And now we're dealing with a lot of issues on the offensive side, and we're kind of like unstable. We're wobbly here.
Yeah, but that's because the defense doesn't have anything to complement it, man. We don't have anything to go out there and chew up some clock and get these guys some good rest. And not just that, but get them, involved where we're not having to, oh man, now we have to get a stop because we're down and we need to try to generate something. It's like, if the offense can generate some offense and put up, touchdowns like we're supposed to when we're in the red zone, then we're in the game. It's more competitive. The defense has more
Right.
to play for. It's more psychological at that point. You know what I mean? Takes the crowd out of it too. All that stuff, man. So I can't really point the blame at the defense. Again, it's more so on the offensive side of the ball, not having a compliment. This is three phases. And special teams, we can do just fine there. That's not the worst for us. But offensively, that's our worst asset or facet of the game, I should say. And you can't get any defense going, any substantial elite defense going, unless you have a complementary offense.
For sure. I'm interested to get your thoughts on Boyles. What do you think of him in the brief time that we
Bro,
saw him?
and the short, little stint that he had there in the fourth quarter after Skyler exited with an apparent rib injury or chest injury.
Yes. Yes.
He looked pretty decent, man. He was slinging it. He was getting the ball out quick. The balls were like the spin on the ball looked nice. It had some zip to him, putting them right where his receiver can catch it. So I just wish maybe we would have brought him in at halftime or something. You know what I mean? Like what would have changed if Boyle would have
Right.
started the second half? Because Skyler didn't have it. Like the fact that like we were like, all right, Skyler, like just thug it out for another 30 minutes. And lo and behold, he went and got hurt. That was obviously the worst case scenario, possible. But now we have Boyle who, looked decent for the little bit that we saw him. But then we also have Tyler Huntley, on the
Yeah, but
practice
that's
squad. So
that's just a lot of questions, right?
yeah, there's
At
no,
the
there's nothing solid there, nothing to feel good about moving forward, especially not
Nothing.
into next week.
And I think that's was so disappointing about Skyler, right? Because it was like, well, he's been here, blah blah blah. He won the job from Mike White. He's gonna be able to win this game because the Dolphins are gonna be able to help him. And I don't know if it's because of a lack of leadership play calling on behalf of the coaching staff, or it's the other point, which would be Skyler just is not that good at playing NFL football, right? I'm leaning towards that, right? Because that's what he's shown me. And I don't know how long we can stick with him when we have games to win, right? Because these games are winnable. This game at some point today, before the fourth quarter, right, was winnable. We had opportunities to be in it. We had opportunities to even take advantage of it. We didn't do that. Signs of a struggling team. But the next game is favorable. This is a Tennessee team that is shaky at best, right? Just like we are right now. But we need to figure out some type of answer at that quarterback position. Is it Huntley? Is it Boyles? Is it Skyler? Like, what are we doing, right? Because we can't go on a week by week basis, in my opinion, because then there's no continuity there. There's no way to build relationships. There's no way to build momentum or whatever. And meanwhile, Tua is on the sideline for sure for at least 4 games. So where does that leave us, right? In a AFC that's full of guys that are winning and tough competition, especially in our division, bro.
I'll tell you where it leaves us, bro. It leaves us in between a rock and a hard place. It's nowhere comfortable, dog. It's not looking good. It's not looking good, man. I watched the game. Obviously, I did it. I did it for anybody that's listening to us right now. That's why I
We
watched
did
it.
watch the whole game.
I wanted to
I want
save
you guys
you
to
the
know that.
60 minutes. You can watch this 20-minute recap on it, and hopefully you hear it in my voice that it was a struggle to watch, man. Because like you said, there was, even with the piss poor performance that we had offensively, there was still a chance there if we would have scored and made it a 1-possession game. It was like, oh, anything, if we would have got it in the end zone there, it would have been 17-10. Who knows? Maybe our defense comes up with a big turnover, or something. But that wasn't the case. They end up, stopping us. They end up driving the ball down. They end up scoring again, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah. And now the worst part about it is that all we have is a bunch of questions, right? A bunch of questions about who's available to play quarterback, who's available to play offensive line, defensively, who's available. Like, what are we doing? And who's going to be available? Granted, now we have one extra day, right? We got a Monday Night Football game against the Tennessee Titans. Gives us some extra time to prepare. But I really think that time should be best used by finding out the immediate answers to those questions, right? We need to figure out who we're going to see at left tackle, because at first it was Armstead. He went down. Then we saw his backup, Austin Jackson, go in. He got hurt. And then we saw the rookie take a snap. Patrick Paul. Is it him? Do we put the most healthiest guy out there and say, fuck it, let's roll with that instead of having injured players that might get injured within the game? Who knows? Maybe that's the best thing. But like I said, it's just a lot of questions. Who's ready for quarterback? Is it Hundley? Is it Brooks? Is it, it's like Boyles? I mean, like, who is it? And how do we get that guy ready to win a game on primetime TV against a team that's 0-3 and looking to get a victory, right, by any means possible? So this game is going to be extremely ugly, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. I know we'll talk more of the preview in our podcast this week, but I think the answer is going to be Boyle. I think Boyle is the guy that tomorrow, morning, he needs to wake up with the mindset of, all right, I gotta, I'm going to be starting this game, at home for the Dolphins against the Titans, because I don't see Skyler coming back, man. He got hurt. And then he got hurt again, and the second time it looked like it just kind of worsened or amplified whatever he had the first time.
And it wasn't even a hard hit.
I don't see
the second one.
I don't see him playing next week, and then again from the short sample size that we saw from Boyle, it looked good enough to say, what, let him get a whole week to prepare, and let's see if we can get him to get some throws across the middle, use Tyreek and use Waddle and their speed properly, not just on the edges outside.
Yeah, let's see, man. We need it. We need it bad. 1-2 Dolphins coming home to play an 0-3 Tennessee Titans game. It's going to be a good one. This game was very rough. Seattle's now 3-0, looking good. We're on the opposite end of that. A lot of questions to be answered. We're going to do our best to answer them in our own way here on OnlyFans. Continue to give you guys this type of recap so you guys can not only share in the misery but also share in the good stuff whenever it does come across. For Joel and I, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Most importantly, hit that notification so you guys get notified when we drop this like this. Until next time, peace.
Fans up in the building, rep the gear from toe to ceiling. 305 stays on the brim, by 95 we popping wheelies. On the way out to the rock, time to see the trio fly. OBJ, Tyreek, and Waddle, speed and swag solidifies. Tools, Babby in the pocket, got my D coordinating with the Weaver operating. On the sideline formulating, strategizing for that dub. Let's get A-Train on the track. Chubbs and Ramsey, Phillips healthy, boy, we bout to crack some backs. Time to change the narrative, F off with all due respect. Criticism at its finest, break the cycle down the stretch. Top dog offense in the league, let's keep it going postseason. Bring that heat in cold weather, that's a Dade County reason. OnlyFans, presented by Sports with SoSo. Presented by Sports with SoSo. Cheetah cruising on that flash mode. Flash mode. On that flash. Cheetah cruising on that flash mode.
To approve that cash flow. Cash flow, to approve that cash flow.
Water sliding like Sub-Zero, zero. Sliding like Sub-Zero, zero.